Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another episode of That Tub Guy. Today we are going to be talking to a critical part of a home renovation. We're going to be talking to a local electrician, Joe Albert with Hi-Lite Electrical. We're going to be digging in deep, talking about his company, all sorts of different angles, everything electrical. So I'm excited to have you on, Joe. Let's get right into this.
My favorite thing to talk about. The service industry. No, it is, dude. I'm extremely passionate about it, dude. When it comes to the service side, you know what I mean? And again, you go like the way the equipment works and everything else, it kind of just transitions as you become a business owner and as you start running guys. It's like you start looking at how we service the technicians better, you know what I mean? Or service our customers better, you know, and what we need to provide to our technicians to do that. So it's like that part has kind of transitioned me from being a great installer to being a great customer service representative, a great team builder, right?
Because that's kind of where it starts, right? I mean, you start off being...
Oh, dude, 100%. You start off as an installer, right? Like, I was just an installer, and then it just kind of goes right into, I mean, again, starting to service more customers, and everybody's grabbing at you, so you hire more guys, and you kind of just go down that avenue.
Yeah. What do you think it is that goes from being the installer out in the field, being the electrician, to, you know what, I want to open my own business, to I want to hire people? You know what I mean? There's like that motivation, and then at some point, do you ever hit the, holy crap, this is like, how did I get from being an installer to here? And, you know, is it ever overwhelming and like regrets? Like, it'd be a lot easier just to be that one guy driving around in a van and not have to worry about all of this other stuff going on.
You know, it's interesting. I would say that, yeah, I mean, how did it get there? It just got there from, you know, wanting to serve more of the community. And that's pretty much what it came down to, honestly, is like, before you know it, you do a good job over here, and you do a great installation, and you're just honest, trustworthy, and kind of doing that kind of stuff. And more people start calling, and before you know it, you can't handle that volume of calls anymore. Mm-hmm. But you still want to service these customers because they've been your customers for 5, 10, 15 years or whatever it is. Yeah. So you hire more, you know what I mean? So,
you know, like for myself, when I was doing like installations and then decided like, okay, I'm going to hire people and I'm going to do more. And it was like this constant, I was almost competing against myself. You know, it was like this challenge. You know, like I've got to hit this goal, but the goal like didn't exist. It was like indefinite. It could have been, it was like massive, you know, like taking over the world, you know, and there was never like an end point. And then at some time you have this realization, you're like, damn, you know, like I'm really putting a lot of burden on my shoulders. And you start to reflect back and you're like, man, it can be overwhelming. And you're like, do I want it to be that overwhelming? You know, do I need to conquer the world? It's like stages in life.
I can't say what's more overwhelming is having too many customers pulling at you and you wanting to serve all of them, or growing your business, right? So like, to me, it was just natural progression. It wasn't like I had some goal in mind or anything else. It was just continuing to serve the customers that you had already served with great service. So that's just kind of what led me into continuing to grow the business. It wasn't like a goal, a number on the board, or anything else like that, or even realizing maybe that's just, you know, me being naive. I had no idea, right, like what I was getting myself into, which was fine. And It's been great. Honestly, it's allowed us to serve a lot more of the community better by just getting more people and continuing to grow the business.
Because I think what people don't realize from the outside looking in is how multifaceted really running a small business is. You know, I mean, it's acquiring the customers. You know, there's an expense and a skill there. There's acquiring help, which is a skill. And it's just like the grind of going through people until you get the people you actually need, the training, the materials, the insurance, all the back end stuff, and then the customer service. And the bigger you get, the bigger each one of those piles gets, you know, and you kind of like, I don't know for you, but I told myself at some point, it's just going to get easier and easier because it'll be a well-built, well-oiled machine. But it's like where one thing gets easier, something else gets complicated. And it's like next thing you know, you got a decade of your life gone. You know, what you've done is like, you know, you really have been like consistently passionate about it. I mean, I've known you since, when did you start doing this? Like '06, '07?
Oh, I started the business in '06.
'06,
Yeah, I
that's
started
what I
the business
thought.
in '06.
Yeah. I mean, and you've consistently just been grinding, pushing.
So while you were going to college, I was out there honing my skills on electric, right? Like that kind of was one of those things that just kind of, you guys went to college. And,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, so like while you guys were out there doing that, I was actually learning math skills with a tape measure.
Reading the
and
tape measure, yeah,
and we were
doing
putting
it.
some pipe in the walls, and then we kind of just honed in that craft. And again, the pressure was immense for a long time, and it wasn't because of the financial aspect. It wasn't the money, because when I was by myself, I was making money. You know what I mean? The money was fine, but it was the customers. If you give the customers everything, you have nothing left.
Yeah.
You know, and again, they will take and they will take and they will rip at you, and they will take every ounce of your time if you give it to them. And I realized that, and I was under a ton of pressure at that time, and it wasn't because of the financial burden. It was mainly because I could not serve all of my customers to the level and the expectation that I had put on myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember my wife having babies, and I would go and literally be there for like the birth, and I'd be like, okay, gotta go.
Gotta go,
And
got
it
a
was,
job.
it was a 7 day a week gig that was 14 hours. I mean, I remember working through the night sometimes, and again, that was it. And I was doing that not for myself. I was doing it because I was feeling the need for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that became too much pressure. And that's when I said, okay, I've got to hire.
Yeah.
And then I started hiring. And then you just start running a business. That, you know what I mean? You just start naturally.
It just naturally just happens. One
Yes.
thing after another. You're like, I did this, now I got to do this because of this. And it, you know, you brought up college, and for me, I went to school while you were out, and boom, you got into that trade. And your motivation for starting the company was different than mine, because when I got out of school, I felt like at this point in my life, I just did 4 years of school, and everybody told me, you know, I was going to be killing it when I get out, and I wasn't. And for me, it was very financially motivated. I was like, these jobs are unacceptable. Like, I'm like, I've got to figure out another path. And there wasn't any other opportunity. It was like, I was going to start out at the same place that I would have started had I just bypassed school altogether. I mean, I've always said, hey, I got the 4-year degree. You know, I'm sure I got a lot of, you know, just, you know, secondary, you know, skills from that, whatever they were, but for the cost and for where it put me when I got out of school, I mean, I think that is something too that you could probably bring a lot of insights to the table. And I know I can, because there's a lot of opportunity for people not going to school. I mean, the trades, electrical, walk-in bathtub, showers, all of these things, you don't need a 4-year degree. Running your own business, you know, I mean, you can get out of college and be 19 years down the road with a successful business, you know, supporting a beautiful family, and you don't need that 4-year degree. In fact, someone with a 4-year degree might tell themselves, you know what, I'm not going to be an electrician, because an electrician doesn't need a 4-year degree, and they might, you know, say that, you know, they're better than being an electrician, when in all reality, it's like the electrician 19 years down the road, he's self-sustaining, living his life, living his dream. This guy with the 4-year degree, 6-year degree, still paying off all of his college debt, still working his way up the corporate ladder.
The educational aspect of it, and anybody wants to say I have a 4-year degree, that's fine. That's totally fantastic. I'm not going to knock that. I'm not going to tell you I was prepared or ready for that. The one thing that I think is a real misservice that we get, or a disservice that we get to give to our children inside of the education system, is this geared thing where we're going to tell kids they should be in math and science and all these different things, and oh, hey, they really excel in these areas. But we never say, hey, listen, this kid's got a mind that he really excels with his hands, and we should really gear them in this direction. Now, I was really lucky to actually end up getting in a ton of trouble, right? Honestly, and being short on credits. And then I had to make up so many credits, I ended up getting shipped out to a technical vocational school to make up those credits. These were 4-hour classes, and they were hands-on classes. We learned some electronics, and then we went and started diving in and just started wiring three-way switches, electrical services in year 2, and throwing pipe on the walls. And that's actually where I started. And at that point in time, I was, 16, 17, 18 years old. So the vocational schools are a fantastic avenue, and I think we need to do a better job, shifting kids that are awesome with their hands and maybe a little bit outside of the other typical boxes, like, and say, hey, listen, let's give this a shot, because there's a lot of kids that excel in that area, and I think we need to serve them better. So
Yeah, the schools, they really praise and give the kids that are in the math, science, English, the AP, the honors classes. I mean, these kids get put on a pedestal, and rightfully so. I mean, they work hard, they're super smart. But the fact is, these kids that are in the trades and all these vocational classes, they don't get the recognition to actually motivate them, to give them the self-motivation. I mean, it's like, I know my wife, she's a therapist, and she meets with these kids, and she uses me for an example all the time. You being in the trades, getting out of school, not the end of the world that you're not killing it in English, math, and science. Like, you get out in the real world, there is so much opportunity in so many different trades. I mean, and you get right out. The beauty with the trades, electrical, plumbing, mechanical, is you get out and you're making money. I mean, you could be 18 years old, paying a mortgage.
oh, that's for sure. I mean, the opportunity. So for the trades, it's really interesting because, there's a lot of money to be made at a really young age, right? And you can get started. There's, again, with companies like ours, we hire kids in, and we go ahead and we train them and provide that training to them. And when we do that, we're hoping that those guys stick with us. The hard part is, sometimes they take off and they go their own way. I will never knock them for that, but you can get started with your career at 16, 17, 18, and this is a career that you can continue to grow into. And then maybe it starts with residential electric, and then before you know it, you're doing commercial, industrial electric, and maybe you want to be an electrical engineer, but that later in life. Maybe you just don't know it right away. But, again, there's a lot of money to be made in it, and we need to really start nurturing that within inside of our schools, because there's a lot of really, really talented kids that we're losing, and we don't have them right now. I mean, the shortage is massive, and it's only going to continue to get worse.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I looked up some statistics before we got together, and we're talking nationally and also just in Illinois where we are. And it's a huge gap. For what the need is, electrical specific versus what's out there and available.
I spend more trying to hire, honestly, to hire than these apprentices would make. Honestly, like I'm sitting here spending $24,000-$30,000 a year building platforms to try to go ahead and build hiring pages and paying to do, video shoots for my guys, because we have to build that out. We need to actually, the way we advertise to get customers, we need to start advertising to hire. We need to really start expanding into that area, because it's not good. It really isn't good. There's a lot of guys that are just walk in off the streets and they're like, yeah, I've been doing solar. I'm going to ask them to provide service.
Yeah.
We're a service-based company.
Okay.
So providing a high level of service to our customers is an extremely important part. These guys aren't just coming in off the street with mud on their boots and doing a good job with the customer presentation and having a conversation with a customer. That's just not how that goes. Again, you have to have a personality, and it's changed the way that we hired. I'm not looking for necessarily the best electricians. I'm looking for great electricians, don't get me wrong, but I can teach you to be an electrician.
Yeah.
I can't teach you to be genuine, trustworthy, honest, and courteous to all of our customers. I can't teach that.
I was going to ask you about that. So, like, the younger kids coming up that are like, I have no experience, they're going to be intimidated coming in and talking to a guy like you who's running an operation, looking to hire an electrician. He doesn't know anything, but he's got the great attitude. He's genuine. Like, these are the kind of people that you're looking for, who wants to make a career out of being an electrician or a tradesperson. I mean, they're hard to find.
Oh, 110%. Finding anybody who really wants to be in the trades or really has honed their craft or somebody who just has a great attitude. Again, the trades are a rough spot. I mean, you got to think a lot of times, especially when I got into the trades, we were, the rougher side, right? Like we're not great at math and science and all those things. So we're on the rougher side. We pushed away from a lot of that stuff, and maybe we didn't go to school all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys, maybe they drink too much, maybe they party too much, and that's common in the trades. With electric, with plumbing, with the tubs and stuff where we have to provide customer service, it's a lot different.
And that's kind of a soapbox moment, right? Because the kids these days, right? They're on their devices, right? They're hanging out inside the house. How often are they even, like when we were growing up, we're hopping in our cars, we're meeting in a parking lot, we're seeing what's going on with the world, we're going to people's houses. Everything's on a Zoom, right?
So I hear this soapbox, and I'm like, what is this guy
What am I talking about?
It's the soapbox. Are you talking about returning that to the tub soapbox type of thing?
Soapbox. You've
Is that
never
what
heard
it is?
soapbox?
No, is that part of the tub thing? The soap?
No. Soapbox.
Oh, I thought they just kind of came together.
No, I'm getting up. I've just got something I want to vent. I got to get it off my topic. I'm passionate about. You know what I mean? Have you ever just thought about the difference between when we were growing up and the way kids are growing up now? Just the difference with electronics, devices, AI, where we were out getting dirty, running around the neighborhood constantly. I mean, you were looking for your friends right after school, riding dirt bikes, I mean, it was rougher. You were out there, you're working with your hands, you're doing stuff.
What
Kids
you
right
just
now,
said is exactly it. We were working with our hands.
we were doing things.
We were working on our bikes. We were fixing our bikes because we wanted to hit the streets. We wanted our freedom, and that's what it was. And now a lot of times I've seen that it's gone, right?
And that's going to be really challenging for the trades. People see all of this opportunity for people to make money on YouTube, on all of these different really soft, sitting in your office, just kind of doing things at home. I work from home now. All of this stuff. It's like parents really need to nurture and discuss opportunities in the trades with their kids. I mean, schools really need to embrace and encourage the kids that are taking these vocational classes. I mean, there's going to be a huge shortage. Guys like you who are, like you said, one of the biggest things you work on at your company is building the platforms and the infrastructure just to hire. I mean, it shouldn't be such a challenge. You should put ads out in the newspaper like the old days and have people call in. It just doesn't happen. There's so much opportunity. And now, what else happens? It's like when things like that are so few and far between to find that really genuine person, what do you do when you find one? It's like all of a sudden that person, they get really well paid, they get well taken care of. I mean, you take that person under your arm and you're going to you want to protect them and keep them. I mean, these people got to realize that it's not just, do I know how to do electric? It's personality. It's like heart. It's motivation.
The hard part is now it's like all we're asking for you to do is show up to work on time, right? So it sounds crazy, but I mean, again, those guys, they get paid. But again, our compensation plan, leads them to success. And we just sat down with our whole team and actually went over, your beginning of the year contracts and whatnot. And then we had a success plan built for each and every one of our technicians. I sat down and said, okay, great. So what is it that you want to be better at? How do you want to perform this next year? And, one guy was like, hey, listen, I'd really like to do more commercial stuff. So we'll build a success plan to get him on more commercial sites and get him more training in that area, right? Same thing when it comes down to, we have a guy that's been with us for a couple of years, and I call him our dark horse this year. His name's Oscar, right? So he actually is one of our younger guys. And my goal for him is to break out of his shell a little bit this year. So we've got some things in place, which is Monday morning meetings at 7:30 a.m. Show up to the shop. We're going to go over your jobs for the week. We're going to go ahead and make sure your truck's stocked properly, your truck's clean, and then we're going to put you out on the streets. Fridays comes in, we're going to meet again. We're going to have conversations about how that week went, and we'll start doing ride-alongs if we feel that's what needs to happen. So we put these success plans in place so our guys always can climb a ladder. We're a growing company. I want my guys to stay with me for an extended period of time. I want guys to possibly open up other shops for us. How do we nurture that? And how do we not make them feel like we're going to be electricians forever? There is more in the future. And when we put together that plan, it gives them that confidence that we're on board with them and that we're going to help them get to that next level.
Yeah, and all the people I grew up with that started doing their own thing, which was a big group of us, ended up kind of going off and kind of running our own businesses.
The rogue agents.
Yeah, from the way we all behaved when we were younger, and probably what a lot of people expected out of us.
Right? We were outside the fray.
Yeah.
You know, we were self-motivated, self-driven, and maybe hard-headed at times. But that's what it takes to be an entrepreneur.
100%. But I was going to say, you were one of the first guys, I think, to offer health insurance. I remember when you told me all your guys were getting health insurance, I was like, whoa, you're doing what? You got medical insurance for your guys? I was like, whoa.
I know.
You've been taking care of your guys for like a long, long time, doing a really good job at that.
We have, and we're still striving to do even better at that. I mean, I actually had a tragic story from a friend of mine who owns an audiovisual company out of Lisle, and one of his employees' wives passed away with cancer at a very young age. We actually dove right into that, and I said, you know, I can't have this happen with my guys where they don't get time off, they don't have the time that they need, or they can't take it with their families. How are we going to be prepared for that? And we actually sat down with our insurance agent and made sure that we started offering some short-term, long-term disability coverage. And our company pays that 100%. And we do that because I can't have my guys not be able to get the time that they need or feel pressure to get back to work with an injury. It's just not good, because I wouldn't want it for myself either.
Yep.
So
yeah, you've always taken really
always
good
trying
care of your
to.
guys.
And again, but when we run into great employees, here's the deal. I'll pay you top pay. I'll pay you that top pay. But I have an expectation for you to meet that goal, right? To hit our marks and make sure that we're doing what we need to do. And if that's the case, great, fantastic. But I'm not going to hold back on that. We are a top paying company, and I have no doubt in my mind that we take way better care of our employees than probably any service company.
Yeah.
And even the big guys, honestly.
And you're hiring right now.
We're always hiring.
You're always hiring.
Yeah, we're always hiring. We'll always interview. And again, it's like any good business. You expand like a balloon and then you shrink back down. You keep your elite forces and you keep building that great team, and it keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. We hire more and we keep the best. We hire more and we keep the best. And eventually that team will grow, but it's a slow, methodical growth where we have the best doing the jobs all the time. Because my customer service expectation is extremely high.
What's your biggest competition? Is it people doing it themselves? I mean, do you feel like you battle a lot of that?
You know, I would say that we battle some of that. But I think a lot of it is knowledge. I think a lot of what we battle is actual knowledge. Customers don't really understand. It's not like a furnace. Nobody maintains their electrical systems.
Right.
Nobody says, hey, I'm going to service my electrical panel.
Right.
Well, how would you even know what it looked like in there? How do you know it's safe? If nobody's looked at it in 20 years, the fact that your electric is working is not always a good thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We cover scary stuff all the time. There's people with knob and tube wiring, cloth. It's just sitting in the walls. You touch it and it just.
One of the most basic examples, though, is a GFI, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the GFI aspect,
Yeah.
the GFI might be working,
Yep.
but it won't trip. It won't protect you.
Totally.
Right? So that's a huge problem with that device. That is a life safety device, and it's not operating properly. But yet it never gets maintained. They're like, oh, it works. Well, hang on.
And it's the only outlet in the house that literally says test and reset, and on the instructions says to test it
Exactly.
every 60 days.
Yeah, the life expectancy on those, I think, is 5 years. Well, guess what? People haven't replaced them ever, and they don't work properly. You know, they're in moisture areas all the time, and they always get wet, they get corroded, they rust out. It's super common.
Yeah.
But guess what? It works.
Yeah.
Well, that's a prime example of the problem when it comes to your electrical service panel. It works. Yeah, you have power in your master bedroom. Will it trip the breaker? You know how many times we've gone into a house and tripped a breaker or tried to trip it and it goes and won't trip, again, that piece of equipment needs to be serviced. The life expectancy on breakers might be 15 or 20 years.
If nothing else, inspected. I mean,
Oh, 100%.
if you live in a home and you haven't done any remodeling or work on it in 20 years,
It's called maintenance.
it may be worth just having someone come through and take a look at all that stuff. I mean, you bring up a really good point with the GFCIs, because we've actually worked together in the past, you know, where we've needed an electrician out on a walk-in bathtub installation, and you've come out and done those GFCIs and ran circuits and things for us. And those GFIs, they legitimately do go bad. You know, we get callbacks on GFIs because they fail.
100%.
You know, it's the way they work. There's a little processor in there. It's constantly basically monitoring current leakage. I mean, is really what it is. So, I mean, if there's no draw on the device and current goes down the neutral side or through the ground path, it trips. And it's like within a 40th of a second.
You know,
for
but
some GFCI facts for you.
Again, the customer has an expectation of this electronic device being mounted outside or near wet locations and continuing to work for 15, 20 years or never replace them at all.
Yeah.
Do me a favor, just take your laptop, set it outside in the front yard, leave it out there for a little bit, and then tell me if it works. Maybe you cover it with a blanket. I don't know. Maybe put a plastic thing on top. These devices now are smart. They have electronics built inside of them, whether it's an arc fault breaker or a GFI breaker. They're still inside your panel, but guess what? If there's not something basic like duct seal inside your panel, which it was never installed even in the early 90s, their duct seal was not installed inside of these panels. Well, cold air comes in from outside, creates moisture, drips down all these panels. I was just at one down the street and pointed out to a customer, actually happened to be my old neighbor. I said, hey, listen, this has a lot of moisture inside of here, and this may or may not work for you when you need it to.
Yeah.
They opted not to make the replacement, but again, those have electronics inside them. These are smart devices nowadays, and they're not just built like an old fuse.
I walked into a guy's house, it was a week ago, and he asked me to come out to take a look at something unelectrical related. And I walk in, and this guy's got his switch by his front door taken apart. He's doing some painting, and he decided, I'm going to replace this switch. And single pole switch, controlled his foyer light and his outdoor light. And he's got the 4 wires out there, and he keeps wiring it up. And he's got a jumper that he made going between 2 of the screws. And I'm looking at it, and he's frustrated while I'm in. You know, I hear him talking to himself. I give him a quick tip. You know, it was something I looked at and I knew was real familiar with and could totally tune it up for the guy. So I gave him a tip. I knew he wanted to handle it. Walk away again. I still hear him real frustrated. And then he tells me, he's like, you know what? I'm gonna put it together like this. We're just gonna deal with it. And his wife's in the other room and she's like, gosh darn it, you know, like this is not how I want to live my life. Flipping this switch on and my kitchen lights then go off.
Oh, yeah.
And my outdoor lights always on, you know, whatever the combination of it was. And I ended up kind of helping him out and we got it all squared away. But it was just a prime example. And I was thinking about that when you were coming on, of all of these different projects that homeowners, when they're not familiar with something, they crack open the box and they're like, yep, it's a couple of wires. I'm going to run down to the store. I mean, the variety of switches that are out there just to get it right. Right? I mean, if it's a 3-way, I mean, you and I both know, I mean, if you get those things wrong, it's a chore. You know, if you get them all mixed up, one guy starts it, another guy takes over. I mean, 3- and 4-way switches are a hassle to try to map them out if you're not the guy who put them in.
Well, especially for a homeowner. You know what I mean?
Especially for a homeowner.
There's nothing more frustrating to me. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's painting and I buy a paintbrush and then I get home and it's not the right paintbrush and I got to go back to the hardware store and you're making 4 trips.
Yep.
Especially if you're dealing with any type of, you know, electrical devices, right? Like, oh, it looks like a switch. Well, it's a 3-way switch or a 4-way switch. You get home and, I thought it was just a switch. And it's like, yeah, completely wrong. Go back to the store. By the time you make your 40 trips and you can't figure it out, it's just worth calling a professional.
I mean, the little things like that. It's not like you say, no, man, I'm not going to help you come out and swap out a couple of switches. I mean, you find a spot, someone calls in and needs a little something done. I mean, that's prime example of why to call an electrician.
Nick, we service all of our customers.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for. I mean, honestly, we are here for any size project. within your residential home, your business, your industrial building. We do all of it. Again, it's what we do. We serve the community.
Another one that I see all the time that's like, you need to get an electrician out. You go up in an attic, and I always call it the afro. You see this junction box sitting there, and this thing's got 25 wires going into it, and it's the afro sticking out with no cover on it. You know, they can't get the cover on because they pulled so much wire through the thing. I mean, these are just indicators. You see this stuff. This is stuff where Joe, Hi-Lite Electric, and you guys come out and get this stuff tuned up. I mean, electrical, legitimately, out in my area, we've had, I think, 3-4 fires this year. Houses completely gone. I mean, barns gone. You know, different structures. I mean, it's just legitimate. You have kids at home, and you've got dangerous electrical running through the home, old electrical. This stuff needs to be addressed.
Well, again, it needs to be maintained.
It needs to be
and I don't care
maintained.
what size house you're in. I don't care if you're, in an apartment building or you're in a $4 million house. I don't care. All your stuff needs to be maintained. I've gone to homes with, really large homes, 5,000 square foot homes. A bad GFI started a fire and goes up the wall. It happens in all homes. If you do not maintain your electrical system, you can always run into issues. And again, I'm not going to tell you we're going to prevent all of them.
Yeah.
But again, we can save or get the full life expectancy out of your equipment if we maintain it. If you don't maintain your car or change your oil or do any of these things, how long do you think it's going to last?
Absolutely.
Not the life expectancy.
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, we have a membership program that puts all of our customers at the forefront and says, hey, we're going to come evaluate your system every single year. We're going to take a look inside of your panel. If our duct seal is not fully installed, or you are getting moisture or some signs of moisture inside of your panel, we're going to make sure that that gets rectified and that right away. We might just be able to replace one breaker or put some duct seal back in or seal it a little bit better, and it'll prevent you from having to do a larger project down the line. Again, you have to maintain something to get the full life expectancy out of it.
Right. And the YouTube, you can hit up YouTube to figure out how to do anything. A DIY guy hops on YouTube and he wants to do this or that. I mean, you were telling me before we started sitting down to talk about how your staff, licensed electricians, is doing continuing education and training regularly. I mean, and then we have on the other end folks with absolutely zero experience that are like, hey, I'm going to save a couple bucks and I'm going to tackle this myself with a video. But you guys are still doing continuing education and educating yourselves on how to do things and new codes, new procedures.
Nick, 110%. And the thing is that's why even with your state plumbing license stuff that you guys are really familiar with, is that you have to go ahead and do continuing education with that to renew plumbing license. So a lot of that stuff is out there. We do the continuing education because we want to have the best, most informed staff that you can possibly have out there. Now, as far as service shops, not a lot of guys are doing that, especially with the small mom and pops and the ones and twos. Those small shops aren't going to be able to provide that type of education to their guys. But yes, it's absolutely extremely important to do that. I also, again, like I said, my wife goes to the doctor and at the end of your visit, they go ahead and, I updated my chart. Here's your results. Great. She goes online, she starts researching it. She looks up and says, oh, wow, this requires this medication. This could be this could be that. That doesn't mean she's a doctor. I want her to treat me.
Right.
So yeah, you can go get a lot of information online, but I definitely don't suggest you going ahead and doing that. We're licensed, bonded, and insured for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's because we're professionals in that area.
Like these EV chargers, are you guys doing a ton of those? What's going on? Is smart houses doing what's going on that's cool and get excited about?
We're working on all that stuff right now. We actually just, there's something that came out as far as EV chargers. A company named Wallbox, right? We just met with them, and one of our local suppliers is providing their stuff now. So we went ahead and sat down with them, and they will actually allow you to install EV chargers on 100 amp panels with load management. So they actually wire directly into your main panel. You can run 60 amps out of it, and it will run directly to the location that you want to provide it to. You can actually do 2 chargers or 3, and you can run them daisy chained. We'll use one 60 amp power feed, say, hit the first wall box unit, providing power to it. Now that wall box unit will not charge unless your main power feed says, I have the power. So when you shut down at the end of the night, you want to charge your house on 100 amp service,
Yeah.
guess what? I can now charge my car with the max power.
Okay.
So I want to do 2 units, I can still use the 160 amp feed, and once that one's done charging, it will now send power to the secondary unit.
So it waits until it has full capacity for a
100%.
charger. It doesn't like dilute it and then it takes longer to charge. Waits till it has full capacity, and then the switch kicks on and it lets the
Correct.
charging go.
Exactly.
Okay.
And a lot of our units inside of our homes, a lot of the electricity that we use, you'll see it on some of your electrical bills when it goes peak hours and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
not.
yeah.
So obviously in the evening, you're not running a lot of stuff. Your air conditioner might kick on, but if your air conditioner kicks on and it's going to draw down your unit, it will actually go ahead and shut down that unit and wait till the air conditioner cycles, and we'll turn that back on and continue to charge.
That's a really cool system,
that
actually,
interesting?
because a lot of people, maybe the hesitation on even getting an electrical vehicle is potentially all that cost to upgrade the house so that they can put in the fast charger, whatever charger they want. This thing on a 100 amp panel, 60 amp circuit, anybody, and it's the installation is basically the same in any house. I mean, even if you had a 200 amp panel, okay, it's gonna work all the time.
100%. So we typically, what we really like to do is provide our customers with the options, right?
Yeah.
We'll always go ahead and show them the 100 amp with the wall box unit where it'll have intermittent power. And then we'll also provide them with a 200 amp upgrade service.
Yep.
And then going ahead, because now you don't have to wait for the power, you have the power. So we always
Right.
want them to know the pros and cons within what they're looking at. Even though, there's an upgrade required to do it,
Yep.
you'll now have more versatility, whether it's more circuits available for you to use in the future or instant power when you want to charge anytime.
And more often than not, folks, with the 100 amp panel, I mean, some of the circuits are going to end up being overloaded to begin with, right? I mean, don't you find that all the time?
In the 100 amp panels?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we just went to one and the house was completely maxed out. Again, if you're not using a professional to install your equipment, or somebody comes over and finishes your basement, they're not a professional and they
Yep.
add a bunch of stuff down there, you could very well be overloading that system.
Because that's what everybody does. They remodel their basement, they want some can lights, they're like, boom, I got wires right there. Find the circuit, flip it off, do all your wiring. Nobody's considering wire size, pipe size, circuit size, the load on the circuit. Nobody thinks about that unless they have an electrician come in who's actually, evaluating, inspecting the system. And
100%. If you're not going to do a load calculation when you're talking about adding large loads like that, you're just failing to do your job properly. And that's common. It really is common.
yeah. You used to do the GFIs for the tubs, like I mentioned, and that is another thing that, I mean, it's always on my mind, right? I'm always looking at people's bathrooms and I'm constantly seeing receptacles that are from the 70s that aren't GFI protected with the old switches, and every single person who has an outlet in their bathroom, and the ones that are on the bottom of the medicine cabinets from the 70s, you
Yeah.
got the little
Oh, yeah,
razor thing,
absolutely.
and those things have the splitter on them so they can plug 4 things into it.
Sometimes they're on the light fixture.
Oh yeah, on the light fixture, you
Yeah.
got the 2 little cords, and they've got everything, the running the blow dryer on it. All this stuff should be GFI protected. And if you have kids in the house, it's like that's even a bigger deal. I mean, I always figure, okay, you're an adult, you want to wing it, it's grandfathered in, whatever, keep your receptacles. But if you got kids running around the house and you see a regular receptacle, like, you've got to get that stuff tuned up.
Oh, 100%. You have to GFI protect it. I mean, we're GFI protecting whole bathrooms now. So as soon as the feed
Just put the
comes
whole
in,
thing on a GFI
it
circuit.
is, and it's required in a lot of municipalities. Again, when we go to 2020 code, a lot of things have changed, whether it's exterior disconnects, which are going to be mandatory, and then as well as surge protection on all panel installs.
Yeah.
So surge protection is another thing that goes right down that same kind of segue that you're going, but the GFI protection is absolutely required inside of these bathrooms. And when you guys go in there, we've done them for you, and that and grounding.
Yep.
Grounding's another big deal that I know that you guys pay a lot of attention to when it comes down to the tubs especially.
Yeah, a combination of the electrical and the plumbing, because oftentimes we're bonding the bathtub to the cold water line, assuming that it's not spliced with all of the new plastic piping that's out there. you know? So now when we're going into these bathrooms, when we can, we're inspecting to make sure that water softener guy didn't come in and splice in a bunch of CPVC. You know, that there's not, because you break that ground, right? I mean, electric doesn't travel through
Well, 100%.
plastic
But
pipe.
see, this is why there's a professional looking to install your tub.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why you're looking at it, because you're the guy that knows all the ins and out of how the grounding's going to go and how we're going to look at it in the full install.
Yeah.
A lot of guys will come in and just say, hey, look, oh, yeah, we can flip that tub in there. No problem at all. Yeah, and they'll be in and out and great, fantastic. But is it safe?
Yeah.
Right? That's the biggest deal. And that's why you guys are here, is to make sure that that's the case. Grounding, when you talk about grounding, so our grounding has changed a little bit over time. Now we have to install 2 ground rods on the exterior, and then we have to ground our water meter. But we also have to jump the water heater inside the house. So we have to jump from there, from the hot to the cold to the gas. So we jump all 3 of those.
Okay.
And when we do that, you're guaranteeing that ground.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's super smart. You were talking about the 2020 code, and I'll tell you, here's another. Are you with the soapbox moments now? Are you picking up on
yes,
soapbox?
I am. I picked up.
All right,
it,
so
it
this is
jams
another
right
passion.
with the tub guy stuff. Yeah, so I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's do the soapbox.
Yeah. So soapboxing are these EPA regulations that are now attached to all of the different building codes. And soapbox moment is you come in there and you open up a wall to replace a panel. You open up a wall to do X, Y, and Z. Have you, as an electrician, run into where different villages or anybody has said, now you've got to re-insulate this wall? You're up in the garage, you're doing this. Has any of that come into play for you? Because I know on full bath remodels it does. Next thing you know, you're like, oh, I thought I was just going to demo it down to the studs. Now we're also, oh wait, you know, we need smoke detectors throughout the whole house, which is super smart. Interconnected smoke detectors, beautiful thing. But you got to know so that you bid it. And then the insulation part with the EPA, next thing you know, you're putting 24 inches of insulation in. And it just can be a lot of, you know, like subsidiary type stuff. It goes along with, you know, now this wall's open. So do you run into any of that when folks are doing remodeling and electrical's a part of it? Do these things need to be considered, or you tend to be able to stick straight to the electric?
So again, we stick straight to the electrical aspect of that. I mean,
So even if it did come up, you know, it would be a GC who would end up dealing with that anyway. You're not going to.
yeah, he would definitely take a look at something like that. We don't look at that. Again, for us, it's the electrical installation,
Yeah.
and the 2020 code has definitely gone, you know, above and beyond with some of that stuff, the exterior disconnects. But as far as the EPA portion and insulation, no.
Yeah.
Why? Do you guys run into that a lot?
We do.
Do you?
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, but more from like a general contractor's perspective, taking on the full job. And I didn't know if you ran into it all when it's an electric only type project, when they don't have a GC, when they just call Hi-Lite and say we need to do this. You end up opening up some walls, getting into some stuff to do your work, if that had come up at all. But
So it's really interesting because what we do is a lot different than a lot of people. We don't actually do a lot of drywall damage. So again, I would say I was trained under a very good electrician
Yeah.
on the remodel side.
Okay.
Taught me a ton about how to fish walls. I mean, we did a ton of work in the historical districts and stuff like that, and he actually taught me how to not break drywall. That was a really big thing for us. And for 6 or 7 years, that's all I did was rewire homes essentially in the historical districts without damaging or cutting drywall out. So again, a lot of times it was in the historical districts, it was plaster, right? You have
Yeah.
horsehair, lath, plaster, all that stuff.
Yep.
And we wouldn't damage that. So for us, we really try to avoid drywall damage wherever possible. So for us, it's pretty rare.
I had you come out and you put some can lights in my house for me. And I was like, there's, you know, no way you're going to get from here. You're like, dude, I'm not going to mess up your drywall. You know, it was just like matter of fact, it's not happening. We're not going to mess up your drywall. There won't be any drywall repairs. You know, I was kind of planning for the worst. And there were no drywall repairs. And it was every time we've had you out to run a circuit, we probably gave you some of the more challenging ones too, because oftentimes when we need to sub out electric, you know, it was like when we knew that the electric wouldn't fit into the timeline or the scope of the work and we need to sub it out. And again, I never had to patch any drywall or go behind your guys and do any patching.
No, that's an important part of what we do. Again, it is. I don't think a lot of customers really even know that that exists or that can actually be an expectation for their contractor, especially on the electrical side. I just sat down with an interview and I just hired this guy the other day and he came in and he worked for a local contractor in the service industry. And I asked them that. So I'm sitting in a room and we had cut in these small 3-inch LED lights made by a company called Lightline. Actually, some pretty innovative products.
Lightline?
Lightline, out of Canada. Pretty cool stuff. I was actually at a show and I saw something and I was like, oh, wow, that's super cool. That's a beautiful trim. It's one of the most beautiful trims I've seen.
Oh, wow.
And we do some flush mount drywall stuff with recessed trims and everything else. So it's just a really cool product.
Okay.
But it's probably even a 2-inch. It's like a 2-inch aperture. It's really small, but LED gives you the spread that is much better than a 6-inch look, but it will give you a good, really good spread in that 5-inch line.
But for the electrician, having to fish these things
we're
through a
fishing it through
2-inch,
something like this.
that's what I'm saying.
So I grabbed one of my
Can't
apprentices.
even get your arm up in there.
I know. So I
Yeah.
grabbed one of my apprentices and we drill these holes with a hole saw, and it's only, like I said, 2.5 inches, maybe 3 inches around, and they're 6 feet apart. Well, I grabbed my diversity bit. It's a flexible bit. It's 4 feet long, and we just started drilling it. And I grew up on
And you
one.
did have to cross drill some floor joists to get it around?
Yeah, we
Okay.
cross drilled some floor joists and stuff like that, and we got those in, and they're beautiful. So when I sit down in this interview with this guy, I'm like, hey, how would you go ahead and accomplish this install? He goes, well, we would typically cut channels in between the cans. And it's so funny because I said, hey, yeah, that's
That would
we don't
work.
do that here.
Yeah.
We don't do that here. Again, our guys actually have to request from our office to do drywall damage because we're pretty adamant about not doing it. I actually will go out on site and train and teach my guys when they have a question so we can try to avoid that as much as possible because, again, our customer service expectation is here.
It's the difference between leaving with a finished product and leaving folks with a project.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, who wants to follow somebody with a
Yep.
painter and a drywaller?
Yeah.
I mean,
I need an outlet in, now I got to paint my room.
but again,
Yeah.
it might be more for the install because it's more time consuming. But again, I'm not going to cause drywall dust all over your house after the fact we leave. I mean, there's going to be some dust because of what we're doing, but not a big project, a 2-3 day patch, and then a painting process. No, we're trying to avoid that as much as possible.
Totally.
But it's kind of funny because then I went ahead and I saw something come across like Facebook.
Yeah.
And it was somebody had cut this whole channel out of somebody's kitchen, cut this whole thing out. And somebody said, hey, does anybody know a painter that could fix this? And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's too bad. I feel bad that, again, we probably didn't do a good enough job. I would say expanding our knowledge to some of the customer base that's out there and letting them know that, hey, we can prevent all of that. You know what I mean? So we need to do a better job on our side of getting that out to the community that that's what we do.
Is when people are doing remodeling, and they're kind of taking on that whole kitchen, that whole bathroom, that basement, and they're doing everything. I mean, that's kind of like, I'm guessing, your bread and butter, right?
Nope.
No, not with service?
No.
Not going in and kind of
We do it. Don't get me wrong. We do. We do a lot of it.
So what is like what would you say is your bread and butter? Like what type of calls are you really specializing in?
Well, really, it's any and every call.
It's
honestly.
built houses. So when you say service, you're talking about not new construction, not wiring
No.
up a new house. I know you've done that.
We did a lot of it for a long time.
Yep.
And again, that took away from us being able to serve our community better. I had a really great customer base that was just homeowners and people within inside the community that, whether they were small businesses or anything else, they would call us and all my guys would be tied up on some new construction projects where the contractor is not reasonable, not rational, doesn't do a quality project at the end,
Yeah.
drags out payments. It was just it's a rough industry, right? New construction typically is. And again, my guys would be on site, whether they were working there all day, and I couldn't send them somewhere else to service these other customers. So that customer base got too large on the service side.
Okay.
So we just said, we're going to direct all of our stuff direct to consumer, and we're just going to overachieve or try to overachieve and fight that battle every day.
But the service side is really referring to anything inside a home that's already built.
Anything. Yeah, absolutely.
It exists.
And not to say that we don't do basements or kitchens, because we do. We
Yeah.
absolutely do those. And
Right,
again,
right. It falls into the house already exists, really anything that comes up. So you're getting calls from homeowners,
we get calls from homeowners, commercial businesses. We do work for Midas's, and we actually just did a job for Orkin.
Okay.
So we do a lot of commercial stuff as well as direct to homeowner, absolutely. And those come down to EV chargers, can lights, and just general maintenance.
Yeah, you know what we were doing for a while, and it was really just as a favor to a friend. It was running circuits and gas line and electrical and plumbing out to pools, pool installs. And I'm telling you, like we had this model that related to walk-in bathtubs and showers. You know, we had a labor rate, and it was like, you know, what this project was going for, like competitively, it didn't fit into our labor rate. I mean, we had to get out there, we had to trench this thing, had to be done in a day. You know, it was like had to backfill it, had to get all this stuff done. I gave up on it. For me, it was a losing proposition. But you guys are out there. I mean, you'll get in the dirt. You guys got the whole.
We do. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
We do anything and everything when it comes to a residential home. If there's anything that can happen with a residential home, we do it. We actually even go past that. We actually go ahead and we, turn overheads into undergrounds, whether it's digging a 3-foot deep trench and working with the city and the municipality to go ahead and take your overhead lines when you are going to put in a pool, right? So those lines can't be within whatever it is, 5 or 15 feet of the pool. We will go ahead and trench those in and move them out to your lot line so you can accommodate for that pool going in. So we do that. And we've done that for a lot of people within the community, and we work directly with the municipalities to make sure that that happens. Again, when we go to our customers, our whole approach is, when you work with us, we take it from there. We want to make this as simple and as easy as it possibly can be for you, right?
And the beauty is I don't think there's many electricians out there, because I've worked with a bunch of them.
To start and stop.
Start and stop, but also the drywall work.
Yeah.
I mean, that part is really pretty unique and special to your company. I mean, the fact that you guys are that you hold your company to that standard, that's pretty unique. Because I know when I first started out, I worked for a guy and we were doing some electrical work in the city. And the only rule was keep the drywall patched next to the hole. Don't throw it away.
Yeah.
I mean, and dude, I was going through making holes wherever I needed to because I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
As a young guy who showed up to work every day, I was learning, and it was like the drywaller will come through and take care of it. I mean, but that's how I learned. Eventually, not to your standard, but I figured out how to run cam lights and things, like in my own house where I didn't have to destroy the drywall, because that ruins a job.
It does. It gets really tough. And again, we always do our best, and setting that expectation is really tough. I mean, we make mistakes, don't get me wrong. But again, we've made some mistakes even recently within the past month or two, and we'll take care of it. I send a drywaller takes care of it, painter paints it. We'll take care of it. We don't want to have those issues. Now, we also will let you know that, hey, we can't accomplish this, because there is instances where we can't accomplish it without drywall damage. But we want to definitely go ahead and address that with our customer. And again, being upfront, being honest, and being trustworthy, that's what makes a good service.
I don't know that we're going to get into them like I thought we might, but before this, I went and I just was looking for reviews on your company, and I knew there were going to be a huge amount of positive reviews, but I just printed them off, and all these people, they're just like so grateful. The personalities, the way that people were friendly, walked them through the job, took care of their homes, everything you're talking about, the customers are then writing reviews and they're saying the same things.
I was hoping we were going to talk about the bad ones.
The bad ones? Do you have a handful of bad ones?
The bad ones are my favorite.
Okay.
You know what? The bad ones are absolutely my favorite. And they're my favorite because that is where we really set the table. Because a lot of times it's, hey, your guy did a great job, but you charge us too much. You know what I mean? And I'm willing to accept that, right?
Okay, yeah.
We provide a higher level of service, and that does come with a price.
Yeah.
And again, the bad ones really give us a chance to shine when it comes to customer service. We're not here to ignore any one of our customers.
Yeah.
Or mistreat them or anything else. So we do a really good job when it comes to addressing a lot of those things. And if it's going to be price driven, hey, let's have that conversation. I'm willing to do it.
Yeah.
You can go out and you can buy a used car, you can buy anything you want, but if you want a Mercedes, you got to pay. And a lot of times, we just want to overachieve. We can provide something to the community that others, like we said, small guys can't. 1- and 2-man shops. We offer 24/7 round-the-clock service. We offer membership programs, maintenance plans. Again, these are things that will keep your electric up to snuff all the time.
And as a business owner, you have to set that standard. When it gets down to pricing, if people are upset about the pricing or feel offended by the pricing, I mean, it's a place that you can't really sacrifice your standards. I mean, we run into the same thing very frequently where folks, they're adamant that you're overcharging. Like it should only be this, and it's like, well, that's okay. I mean, you have to take care of your guys. If you start sacrificing on price, you start sacrificing on quality. And it's like that lower price guy, might be that guy who comes through and Swiss cheeses your ceiling to get all your work done. I mean, it's like you guys are showing up, the trucks are organized, they're prepared, your guys are going to be efficient. If someone questions your hourly rate, well, guess what? It's probably going to be less hours because everything's on the truck. We had a meeting Monday morning at 7:30 a.m. prepared for your job. We've got all the equipment on the truck. My guy's here, he's prepared, he's talking to you, he's walking you through the job. I mean, all those standards, it's like, that's one thing you learn through that progression. Like from '06 when you started, when you were hungry and you might have negotiated and taken every job that was on the table and figured out a way because you were just hungry for the work, to now where you have more jobs, but also it's not just the jobs that matter, it's taking care of all the people that depend on you to pay their bills.
Well, Nick, that's the thing is it starts when you call our company. When you call our company and you talk to our customer service reps, they're fantastic. And we've got a lot of reviews that say that. You know what I mean? It starts on the incoming call. And again, once we go ahead and book a call with you, you'll receive a confirmation of the appointment. When our technician dispatches, you'll know that he's dispatching with a 30-minute heads up coming to your house. You can track him. Again, there's costs associated with doing that. When he arrives on site, you'll receive another text. And again, that is to make your life easier. That is to provide that customer with that high level of service. When we have a first thing in the morning appointment that's at 8 a.m. and our technician dispatches at 7:30, you can still finish cleaning up, getting your kids off to school. And then when my technician pulls in the driveway, here comes another text. Oh, he's here. Oh, well, let me put this away. And then I can run and get the door. Again, it's one of those things where it's all to provide the high level of customer service to that customer. And there's costs associated with it. The 24/7 answering services, it costs money.
Yep.
And again, our guys show up in a fully stocked truck to go ahead and provide you with that same day service. So again, to be able to service our customers, it costs some money. And again, we want the best, most talented staff. If you want the best, most talented staff, we've got to educate them. So again, it all just goes hand in hand with providing the high level of customer service that we will not cut corners on. We just won't.
It's a good thing for people to hear too that are younger and kind of have this dream of running their own business in the trades too. It's kind of like that's the standard that you want to achieve if you're going to be successful doing this. And there's a lot of young kids, and I think everybody starts off, man, you just got to get your feet wet. You got to get a truck, you got to get it stocked and get a couple customers and get the rhythm, right? But it's that progression, and eventually, you get the apps, you're tracking your guys, you're calling them 30 minutes before, you got the 7:30 a.m. Monday morning meetings. But I was I was looking at costs in Illinois and nationally, employed versus self-employed. And it's very advantageous for someone who wants to get into the trades to be employed, to take a job. Your actual revenue, your actual salary, when you start to balance it out with all the expenses that come along with being self-employed, while, a lot of folks may misinterpret revenue versus what you're actually putting in your pocket. And I think that, if we're going to get younger people that actually watch this and potentially may be motivated by this to get into the trades and are weighing out employed versus self-employed, do I go work for myself? Generating $500,000 in revenue in your first year is pretty impressive. But what you actually end up coming away with after you've paid all your bills and you've gotten that $500,000 worth of customers, you may actually be better off just working for somebody. And you've probably found, I know I've found, where people have left and said, you know what, I can do this. I'm going to go out and do this.
Yeah, and a lot of guys think that. I want to walk back real quick just to kind of go over pricing one more time. So, again, those bad reviews,
Yeah.
When we get those bad reviews, the best part is upfront pricing. Again, I didn't force anybody to
Yeah.
take this job, right? So we would get a complaint, and it's probably still on our stuff. But when it comes down to the bad reviews, again, we go ahead and provide upfront pricing before we complete any work. That is approved by you as a customer, right? When we provide you with a quote and it's $1,200 and you say, oh, he was only here for 2 hours, it's like, okay, great. What we did was we provided you with your time back, and time is money.
Yeah.
We want you to have so much of your time back, and we want to provide you with that job in the best, most timely fashion. And again, that comes down to experience. If I have a highly experienced guy on site and he does it faster, isn't that better for you as a customer? The price is the price. We didn't change the price, and we won't change the price. That's the thing with flat rate pricing. It's upfront. Here's what it costs to do this. I might be here all day. Would you rather me be here all day? Would you feel better if it was $1,200 and I was here all day? Or maybe came back even tomorrow? Would you feel better? Or you feel better when I'm out of your house and the job's done safe and by a professional?
Yeah, 100%.
So those reviews really allow us to address those things. When we say, did our technician provide you with upfront pricing? Yes. Did you authorize that pricing? Yes, absolutely 100%. So they did. And a lot of times our reviews, and even if we don't get a job, they'll respond and they will say, your technician was excellent, did a fantastic job just outside of our price range.
Yeah.
And I 100% appreciate that response.
Yeah.
And I'll take that.
Yeah, it's funny though, reviews about pricing, because that was just about, we always had pretty good reviews, but one of them that always stood out that really bugged me was we had a lady who financed with a third-party lender. Something came up with the lender like a year later after the job was done. And she got in touch with us, didn't like the terms, don't know what the situation. I think she was selling her house. I don't know what the deal was. We couldn't do anything about it. We set her up with the lending, got her approved. It feels like it's us giving you the loan, but it's not. All the paperwork is from the bank. Like, it's all done through a third-party bank. And this lady got so upset at us. And she knew we were right, but she had no other way of just taking out her frustration. So she went to every single place we had a profile. And then on Google, she ended up making a second profile and leaving two. And it irritated me forever.
But don't let it, because here's the deal. When people look at your good reviews, they need to see that there's some crazy people out there, right? Like, there legitimately is. There's some people that you just cannot satisfy.
Yeah.
I've tried. Believe me, I've tried. I've tried to satisfy them. I don't care if it's all the money in the world.
Right.
We had a customer that we did some drywall damage to. I just thought we did a bad job on the install. I credited him back his whole job. It was $3,000. I didn't even think twice. I said, you know what? Because I know I could have done that job better personally, because I know I could have done it better. Now it's very difficult for my techs to do better than me, but I knew I could have done it better. So I just said, hey, you know what? I want to return all your money. All of it. I sent him a nice email, and I actually went out and got him a gift card and sent it to him. It was right around Christmas. And I just said, hey, you know what? I sent him a really nice email and just said, I'm sorry that we fell short with this. I also hope that you can go have a few drinks on me and forget about it. Give us another chance. You know what I mean? So it gave us an opportunity to shine. And that's when you can really watch a company stand up for who they are and what they do. So I think that reviews are a great place to do that. And again, if a customer's unhappy and you can't make them happy, again, I was just at a dealership, a car dealership, Chrysler warranty. You're at the dealership telling me something. I'd love to give you it all back. You got to talk to Chrysler.
Yeah.
Same thing with your finance company. It's like,
don't get me on Chrysler's, man.
No, but you know what I mean, right? It's like, hey, listen, I'd love to be able to help you out. I'd love to do it.
Yeah.
That's Chrysler warranty.
Yeah.
Talk to Chrysler about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You guys have some ProMasters?
Dude, come on, man.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
A whole fleet of them?
Heck no. Dude.
Okay.
I'll tell you right now. No. Listen, I would love to say, oh, I got ProMasters, right? I do. I have one, but it has a lifetime warranty. It's the only one I have because it has a lifetime warranty.
Lifetime warranty.
So I bought I bought two ProMasters. One I got with a Chrysler Max Care warranty that covers everything with a $100 deductible, everything, right? So like
Okay.
I still have that one, and it's actually going in for service here now, and I've had a lot of work done on that one. The other one,
I bet.
as soon as I'm telling you, as soon as I paid that thing off, it might have had 70,000 miles. Boom, gone. I had to get rid of it because it dumped on me. We currently switched over to Ford, and we've worked pretty well with Ford
Yeah.
in getting all that security. So I bought actually, I think it was over the past 2 years, I probably bought, I think we have 6 or 7 new Fords, and I put all my guys in Ford now. We've standardized.
The Ford Transit's a nice van.
We
man.
did, yeah.
The ProMaster was cool. We
It's
were
terrible.
using that because it could handle the tall wall slabs and the
Correct.
big. It's like
Yep.
Chevy has not built a new
I know.
van in decades.
You know why? Because Chevy still makes the best van.
It's a
If-
great van.
If you're talking about longevity, I mean, that Chevy's great, but the Transit is too. So that's
The
why
Transit was nice. They changed the body style, and you know what? This isn't a Dodge and Chrysler talk, but dude, since you brought it up, I mean that ProMaster that I had, 4,000 miles, new transmission.
terrible.
Put a rebuilt one in. I was so
I can't
pissed.
do it.
I'm like, dude, I had a 4,000 mile brand new transmission. You're getting me a rebuilt one. You know that pissed me off. And then it was like 8 or 12,000 miles. Another tranny. Second tranny. And I'm like, well, this time around, you got to get me the new one. Nope, not happening. Then it was like 10,000 miles later, it completely rewired the thing. Then the hinges on the door. This van was a freaking nightmare, man.
I know. I
It
had
was
one.
the worst vehicle I have ever owned. I'm
I
like,
wanted
I don't
to
know
buy
how
'em.
people can buy a Dodge.
Dude, I'm telling you, I wanted to. I wanted to buy more of them. I love the sides. I love the billboard that you get with them, and that's one of the reasons I,
I
started
liked all
purchasing.
that. That's exactly.
So
I liked
I-
everything. The functionality, it was very practical. But when the thing is sitting in the shop and you have to go rent a vehicle to replace it, because we don't take days off, just like I'm sure you guys don't take
Correct,
days
yeah.
off. You know, we got a neighbor at our warehouse. His van gets bumped in the parking lot. Business shuts down. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Run over to Penske, pay $80 a day, get yourself a truck.
Yep.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, we don't shut down, but it's a huge pain in the butt.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
dude, I don't want to be running around transferring stuff from one vehicle to another. And I'll tell you, you're having good luck with Fords. I've heard great things. Having great luck with Chevys. Steer clear of these Pro.
Oh, 110%. No, we don't buy any of them anymore. I went out and bought, I can't remember, I bought two of them, maybe like 16, 17, 18. Maybe I bought 2 of them within that range. I have the one still because that's Max Care. But as soon as that one's done, we really like the Transit. We'll stick with the Transit. And again, part of us growing the business and kind of doing what we're doing just with dialing everything in with the business. We're standardizing everything.
Yeah.
So our roof racks are standardized, our letters are standardized, our numbers on all of our vehicles, and again with what we put inside of them. You know, because we stock a ton of parts.
Yeah, I like what you're doing with all the vehicles and the standardized. You know, it was probably 2 years ago we decided to do everything that we do in our office, we documented and created SOPs, and we have a binder. And anybody could walk in. We opened an office down in Florida, and basically they have a binder that goes through every single thing that you need to do to operate our business.
I hate it, but I love it.
You have to have it, and
do.
it
Yeah.
really it kind of puts on paper like this is what we do. If you have a role here, this is what you do now. This is what you do at the end of the day. If this happens, this is what you do. I saw something on the internet, and it was like, have you ever walked into a new job and you realized that they had no processes in place? You know, so like you're walking in on day one, and you're kind of like, well, what do I do? They're like, well, here's the computer. You know.
Well, it
Or
is.
here's the truck.
Again, that's us. We're building a training manual currently, and because we want to standardize everything. We want everybody to operate the same way. You know, it's funny. I just walked out of Walgreens on the way here, and they were training somebody, and the girl forgot to say on the way out something like, you know, thank you, come back again, or thanks for shopping at Walgreens, right?
Yeah.
So the girl who was training, you know, did her pitch at the end, and the one who was training her said, oh, hey, and thank you for coming to Walgreens. Please come back, or whatever it was,
Yeah.
you know. And it's because they want it to be standardized.
Standard.
And it
Yep.
is. It's how we operate. And I think one of those big ones currently is Chick-fil-A, right? I think they've really set the table for, your name with your order and then have a great day or whatever it is.
Every successful business, right?
Standardizes for sure.
100%. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. McDonald's, it's the exact same every single time.
Consistent performance.
Yep, and that's really hard what you're doing with the guys out in the field. I mean, for instance, get them to hand a card at the door every single time when you're not there. Setting those standards and figuring out a way to hold them accountable to doing that. I mean, I even love the fact you're 7:30 a.m. every Monday morning and you're Friday. I can't tell you how many times I tried to implement something along those lines. Thursday afternoon, we're all going to get together. It's like next thing you know, something comes up, you got to move it. And then it just kind of gets lost. It's getting in that habit and sticking to it is so hard,
Again, so we have personalized plans, and that was part of one of the personalized plans for one of our growth plans for one of our guys, our success plan for him that we laid out. A lot of our guys direct dispatch. Now, having those meetings that you're talking about, they're costly. They're costly for us. I mean, some of our employees are in Des Plaines, Elmhurst. We're kind of spread out throughout the place. One's in Chicago, one's out in Aurora. So they're all over the place. And getting them all at one place and then spending an hour there, you have 10 technicians, you're paying them all hourly, right? They all show up to the shop. And
you better be prepared and have something
you got to
to
be
say.
prepared. And again, getting them back out of there in a timely fashion is tough too. We've done that. We have gone through that routine. But again, it's really important. And we're actually going to be trying to implement some different stuff, like 4-hour training session once a quarter, to be able to get the guys in on a Saturday to be able to perform this service. So we can go ahead and train our guys uninterrupted. Somebody will still have to be running service, but again, trying to get that standardized 4-hour chunk of change so we can really dive into a new piece of equipment, a new product, a new code, and just make sure that we keep everybody on their game.
Yeah, I mean, it helps you as a company out once all that stuff happens, because when you're managing people, it's consistently expectations are the same for everybody. If something goes wrong, you can go backtrack. Did you do this, this, this? But for customers, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, the guy shows up and it's a routine. There's one thing that really takes the confidence and the wind out of a customer's sales is when a guy's scratching their head, is confused. Looks like he just rolled out of bed, rolls up in the rusty truck, it's like nothing. I mean, I guess there's the penny pinchers out there that are just like, you know what? I don't care. I intentionally hired this guy with the beat up truck and still smells like he was at the bar last night. But I mean, it's like for the majority of people who actually are concerned about quality, it means a lot. I mean, the attention to detail that a company puts in on the back end really carries through, in the customer's home.
Well, what you just said is it's really frustrating to us because, again, coming in and showing up and a guy wearing a collared shirt, this is what we do. We look good when we come to your house. Mm-hmm. We believe that we're professionals and we're going to dress like a professional. We're going to act like a professional. And our job is to provide you with the knowledge to make an informed choice and a decision. Mm-hmm. We need to bring that knowledge to the table and make sure that we get that to you. But coming in a rusty truck and some people feeling like, oh, I'm a penny pincher. That's great. That's fantastic. I really appreciate that you're a penny pincher. We have financing available so you don't have to necessarily pinch that penny and you can spread it across some time. Because, again, you'll go to Best Buy, you'll get a Best Buy card for a TV, but this is your home. This is home safety. And a lot of stuff, whether it's a tub install. It doesn't, again, it's like, oh, well, that's not really safety. It is 110%. What you guys are doing every day, we need to make sure it's done in a safe fashion, just like you guys do. And if somebody wants to cut corners and do that, we really need to do a better job, you, me, and the service industry, explaining that this stuff is dangerous and it does take a professional. And the guy in the rusty truck, who may or may not have the right insurances, be licensed, bonded, insured, and do that proper install, is not a safe place you want to be.
That's a great point. I'm glad you said it, because the person who believes, who has that kind of that preconceived notion, that they can't afford professional quality, they really should start by talking to the professional quality service providers and see what kind of solutions are out there to make it affordable. Because the last thing that you want to do is sacrifice safety. You know, you think that you can't afford quality work, but you're dealing with, I mean, really, I mean, the magnitude of doing a hack job on a wiring in your home. I mean, it's life or death. I mean, that's pretty one end of the spectrum. It's pretty extreme, but I mean, it's really not if you get somebody in there screwing things up, overloading circuits. I mean, I don't think people understand the magnitude or the consequences of screwing up the electrical in your home.
No, and again, they really don't. And talking to a professional first, whether you decide to use that professional or not, again, it's our job to gain your trust. If you don't trust me, we can't have any type of relationship here. And I'm sorry that I shorted you on that, but that was my job, was to give you, to earn your trust.
Yeah.
And whoever you use, I would highly suggest that you find someone that you trust, right? So if it's not us in the professional side and you want to grab the guy in the rusty truck, he must have done a better job conveying that trust or earning your trust at that time. And again, when it comes down to, safety issues, 110%. You know how many tubs I've walked into and these people have pretty much hacked the whole joist out to get their drain in? I mean, it's like,
Constantly, you walk in after the fact all the time.
And it's
and you're like,
crazy.
who did all this work? You know, the mess, Romex just hanging all over the ceiling. And
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. And when you talk about the fire aspect, and we don't use that in any of our verbiage typically, we really don't want to. But again, it is a real threat that's out there. It is a real hazard. I went to a job down the street, customer, okay, great. He has heaters all over the floor. He's trying to heat his house in a cold winter day. He had the oven opened, trying to run the oven to heat his home. Because
I've seen it. Yeah.
And again, so he actually had a fire that went up the wall because he had Romex and he oversized the breakers because it kept tripping.
Oh, so we just put a bigger breaker
I just put a bigger breaker in. Well, then it turns that electrical wire into a filament.
Yep.
It's just like a light bulb, and now it's
resistance
glowing.
heater in your wall.
100%.
Yep.
And it just started to fire up the wall. So again, you just need to make sure that you do a lot of research, you dive in deep, and you really understand who you're using, and make sure that they meet the expectations that you have.
Yeah.
And again, it should never be financial. It should never be financial because we provide options for financial.
Yeah, 100%. Is there anything else you think we should talk about?
No, I think it's.
I think it was a good thorough.
Do you?
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel good about it. I'm excited about it.
Good. Glad
Yeah.
you're excited.
A minute.
Oh, okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just watch. Pay
I am.
attention.
I'm gonna
All right,
watch
all
it.
right,
Yeah.
watch. All right. I've known Joe and Hi-Lite Electric for a long, long time. I've seen Joe's work. I know people who have used Joe. I can't tell you how outstanding of a business owner he is, but also the quality of work that his team does. I know he holds the team to his same high standards that he holds himself. So definitely you do have a That Tub Guy referral for the Hi-Lite Electric out of Batavia, Illinois. I'm going to put all of his info, his website, phone number. So if you need anything electrical, definitely give Joe a call. If you're considering doing the DIY or going a different route, it is without a doubt worth your time to get a consultation from Joe. Call his office, talk to his team, see what it looks like. But definitely, you got to consider safety and make sure that you're taking good care of your biggest investment, which is your home and your family. So thanks again, and signing out from That Tub Guy. All right. How long was it?